I would properly have been in soup. Thank you. Make it a point to ask me that every day. It's a little difficult to switch planes. By that, I mean, so far I've been talking about something which is very, very Western. Now, suddenly I'm coming and talking about Indian. Yeah. For some strange reason, uh, our department has a uh, obsession with this idea called Danda Niti. I don't know why, because uh, there are so many more important things than that which should be discussed before we start talking about Danda Niti and things like that. But just as you have the Dharma Shastras that have dealt with various aspects of various aspects of, what should I say, you know, uh, life itself, the Dharma Shastras. We find that we also have a Neeti Shastra. Okay, and Neeti Shastras are those which lead to Nyaya. Nyaya can be interpreted both as law and as justice. Okay, Nyaya can be interpreted both as law and as justice. And it is the Neeti Shastra which basically becomes the foundation for the Danda Niti. Okay, but I'll not talk about that immediately. Just let me talk about the Neeti Shastra. Like I said, Shastra here, please don't take it as some kind of a religious thing. Okay, and please do not try to understand Shastra as something which is based in superstition or something. It is none of those things. It is completely logical. It is completely rational. That is the quality of Shastras, whether it is Dharma Shastra or Tattva Shastra. Okay, Tattva basically talks about what is the universe, what is it comprised of. Okay, and Tattva is a very, very important thing because Tattva refers to the subject that one discusses, and it is also applicable to Niti, the idea of a Shastra. Because when people arrived at the idea of a Niti Shastra, their whole this thing was that Niti Shastra would be some kind of a guideline for proper social conduct along with the Dharma Shastras. Okay, so while the Dharma Shastra has, or rather is derived out of a cosmological kind of a thinking, The Neeti Shastra is more of a sociological way of thinking. Okay, it becomes a sociological way of thinking, but it is not something that goes counter to the dharma. It is something that is very much a part of uh, the whole cosmological dharma, even though it is more sociological. It is how one conducts oneself. Please remember one thing. Uh, in the Western way of thinking, it is all about a binary thing. Either it is the collective or it is the individual. Okay. Whereas in the case of ancient Indian thought, it is basically both collective and individual. Okay. Because I told you that the idea of karma cannot work if you do not give individual autonomy. Okay. Because it is an individual who does things and accumulates a certain kind of karma, bad karma or good karma, which is sukarma or dushkarma, and will be a part of this whole cycle of life and death, right? That is what we basically talk about. Now, if you look at the idea of Niti, uh, Niti is also something which is connected to the notion of karma. Okay, because it is how you live your life as per Niti and how you maintain Niti, which will determine whether you are uh, doing good things or bad things. Okay, the opposite of Niti is Aviniti. Okay, that's not a Telugu term. Okay, Telugu has now become 90% Sanskrit. I don't know if you are aware of this. The Telugu language that mm, the most of us speak, especially the formal Telugu that we speak, that is 90% Sanskrit. Okay, so Aviniti is living your life not in accordance with Niti, and sometimes living your life in a manner which is contrary to Niti. Niti is something that encourages the individual to reflect upon one's own relationship with other people and on what kind of basis does that relationship stand. So, at one level, Niti comes into being in a one-to-one interaction, which is, let us say, Jnaneshwari, who has joined for the first time this semester, has given me 1,000 rupees, and she said, please get me something. She's given me 1,000 rupees because she doesn't know whatever the product she wants. Let's say Jnaneshwari wants makeup, and that makeup, she doesn't know how much it will cost. So she thinks it's a safe thing to give 1,000 rupees. It won't be more than that. But she doesn't have a proper idea. So she gives me this money and I have it with me. I go buy the product. The product costs 2 rupees. Oh, sorry, 200 rupees. Okay. And if I do not give 800 back to Jnaneshwari, it essentially means that my I am following Avid Niti. Okay, that I am following Avid Niti. Or a more real example is that irrespective of how you people write your examinations, when you write your 15 mark tests, 5 essays, short answers, sorry, I give everybody at least 10, which is, very, very bad. If people have done extremely badly, then I give them 10 marks at least. That is Avid Niti. So, as per this, I will have to go to hell. I will. My working in Usmania University will send me to hell, because I I have been generously giving marks, and I tell people always, what is there in marks is just a number, right? If you ask me for money, then that is a different issue altogether. I won't be very generous. You say, give me 200 rupees. I'll ask you, why should I give you 200 rupees? What is the necessity? But you say, give me 200 marks. I'll give you, why 200? I'll say, take 500. No problem. Because it's a transaction where I have not lost anything and you have not gained anything. Okay. That is a transaction like that. In fact, if you go with these wonderful marks out into the world and people expect you to be absolutely great pundits because you have such great marks and grades, and then they'll ask you questions in an interview for anything, and then if you don't answer that, then there is a problem. But otherwise, there is no sanctity to that. It is, I'm not giving you anything, you're not taking anything. It's just a number that we have put there. Okay. So karma is also attached to this. And I am accumulating dushkarma for the past 30 years. So that is definitely bound to send me to hell. And I will go there, I guess. Not too soon, I hope. But it is not just karma that should determine your uh, niti and aviniti of behavior. It is also your own conscience that should basically tell you that which is right or that which is wrong. Niti is something that uh, places emphasis on that which is called Antar Atma. Okay, most of the Neeti Shastra is based upon Antar Atma. In Sanskrit, Antar Atma is that which is inside the Atma, not inside the body. Please remember that. Okay, Antar Atma is not that which is in the body, but that which is in your Atma, Atman. That is the Antar Atman. So the Antar Atman is the voice you keep hearing. Not the voice you keep hearing as schizophrenics do. Schizophrenics actually hear voices which tell them, go and do this, throw that thing out, hit somebody. That is schizophrenia. Okay. But Antar Atman is that which tells you, is basically that which tells you that something is right or wrong. And the Neeti Shastra emphasizes that every individual should go by the diktat of the Antar Atman, because the Antar Atman is that which is your guiding light or guiding force that makes you walk in the correct direction and not in the wrong direction. Okay, so Neeti Shastra has this one-to-one kind of a thing. It also has one-to-many, which is, let us say, as a teacher, I am there, and as a class, not this online thing, but if we are a group of people sitting in front of me in a physical classroom, there also my behavior and your behavior should be as per Neeti Shastra, as per the idea of Neeti. Okay, which means that I should first study in order to be able to teach you. Now, don't get this wrong. If I say I should study in order to teach you, because a lot of people, lot of teachers, they pick up a book, read it, and come and say what is there in that one book that they have read, now, which is the school textbook kind of a thing. As you go to higher levels of learning, there is a thing called scholarship. Okay, there is a thing called scholarship. Scholarship is not the money. Scholarship is one's scholarly ability. How well read are you? Okay, so when people ask me, how do you see yourself? I tell people that I am a student of life for life. Okay, as long as I am alive, I am a student of life. That's what it means. Why? Because unless I keep studying, I will not be in a position to impart meaningful education to you. So, in order to be a teacher, leave alone the idea of a good teacher, that is a second aspect. The primary aspect is, in order to be a teacher at all, I should be in a position where I am studying myself. Okay. So if you look at the UGC manual that is given to teachers, which nobody reads, but I did read it, it says that the number of working hours per week for every teacher, be it an assistant professor, associate professor, or professor, okay, be it any of these things, the number of working hours is 40 hours per week. At least. That's what it says. 40 hours per week at least. Now, obviously, I'm not teaching you for 40 hours. As a professor, I have to teach 14 hours per week. An assistant professor has to teach 16 hours per week. Okay, an associate and professor both teach 14 hours per week. You're supposed to do that. So, what about the rest of the 26 hours? What are these? If I have research students working under me, if I'm guiding research scholars who are doing either MPhil or PhD, if they're doing it under me, my guiding them, my reading what they write, correcting that, and asking them to rewrite or redo what they have done, that is a part of the 40 hours. But that should not cross 10 hours per week. That should not cross 10 hours per week. And that is the reason why the number of students that we take as research supervisors is limited to 6. We are not supposed to have more than 6 students. Okay. Unfortunately, all of us have much more than that, because which is not such a great thing, but it is like that. So it should not exceed 10 hours. Then you are looking at 24 hours. So what about the rest of the 16 hours? Minimum 16 hours, and if necessary, more than that. That is your time for studying. We are supposed to study and research deeply into what ultimately becomes our curriculum. It's not just our curriculum. Okay, you can go beyond curriculum. Like, for example, before your class, I told you I had that 2-hour lecture in which I spoke about multiculturalism, and I also spoke about the dimension of multiculturalism, which is supposed to be studied, or which is actually studied by sociologists. So somebody raised a question and said, why did you, it's very nice of you, you actually studied all that, but you're a political science person. Why did you look at sociology at all? Okay, my answer to that person was, I mean, she was fascinated that I actually knew something from sociology, even though I'm from political science. I told her, as social science students, it is our bounden duty to understand other social sciences disciplines as well, because there is no political science that stands independently of sociology, independently of economics, independently of geography. No, reality is multifaceted, right? Reality is multifaceted, and we should try and study as many facets of that reality as possible, so that we can give a proper picture, of what a particular concept is, right? So what I am teaching you, for example, will come under cultural anthropology. This whole thing that I've been teaching you is cultural anthropology. Okay, that which studies the evolution of cultures of human beings over a period of time. And it is usually done in departments of religion and folk studies. Okay, but I will say, why should it be their domain only? Let me also know. And I will say, you should also know what is political science. You should study that as well. Right? So, as a teacher, it is my Neeti Shastra tells me that I should follow the instructions of the UGC. I should follow the instructions of being a teacher. What makes a teacher? I should follow those instructions and teach. When people ask me, are you a teacher? What are you? I say, I'm a professor. I had this argument with a colleague of mine. He used to say, uh, I like to say I'm a teacher. And I used to say, I like to say I'm a lecturer, actually, not even a professor. Okay. And he thought it was a very humble thing to say teacher, which it is not. Okay. In order to be a teacher, you need to be very well educated yourself. In order to be a lecturer, if you know this, a little bit of this and a little bit of that, you can give a lecture. Anybody can give a lecture, right? You only need to have that ability to speak. Okay. So I don't call myself a teacher. I'm very reluctant to call myself a teacher because I'm not even sure if I am able to provide you with the kind of teaching that is required. Right. So, therefore, this is ethics. Niti, apart from being justice, I mean, apart from giving root to justice and to law, it is also something which is making me understand my duty. Okay, it is something that makes me understand my duty, makes me perform my duties. Similarly, for you as students, you should also be in a position to follow the niti that is expected of a student. We think of student meaning it is something which is a bit of a bore. We have to listen to rubbish from teachers. Nobody likes to go to class. Nobody likes to listen to things. Half of it is because of bad teachers, but it is also because students are not governed by the Neeti Shastra, the moral dimension, the ethical dimension. It is ethically important for you to conduct yourself in such a fashion that helps you to understand what the teacher is doing. And if the teacher is not doing his or her job properly, let me not say her, Yasmin will get very angry if I say her job properly. So, no her. Okay, I'm scared of Yasmin. So, Yasmin does her job very well. It's people like the men, we don't do our job well. Okay, if we don't do our job very well, it is ethically imperative on you people to say, sir, you're not giving us whatever you're supposed to give us. You're not giving us adequate information. You're not equipping us with adequate knowledge, right? That is the power of the ethic that can make you challenge your teacher. Or if you feel that your teacher is doing something which is inappropriate, that also can be questioned by you, because of the fact that you have the you have Niti on your side, and that gives you the ethical uh, power to question, ideally uh, with the end in mind, which is doing justice to your education. Okay, education, it's not marks. Marks is not education. Forget it. What you get as marks today, nobody asks me how many marks did you get. Who asked me that? Who asked me where I studied? That all doesn't matter. What matters is what I am doing with you people in the class. Am I able to deliver what I am supposed to deliver? If I can deliver more than what I am supposed to deliver, even better. But I should at least deliver the bare minimum that is expected out of me. If I am not doing that, then you have the right to basically question me and say, sir, we are not happy. That is Niti. Okay. Niti is therefore the guidelines that basically works between two individuals on a one-to-one relationship, or it can be a group situation in which all group members are equal, or it can be that it is one person who is not really your equal in terms of status. Status not as monetary status, but as, say, teacher versus student. Okay, a teacher is supposed to have, but the student, despite not enjoying the same status as a teacher, still has Niti on her side to basically question the teacher who is not doing one's job properly. So that is the ethical dimension. Okay, that basically is the ethical dimension that we should understand. Now, we also need to understand that Niti is also an instrument of governance. Okay, so among all different kinds of Niti that people talk about, one of the most important things that we talk about is Rajaniti. Okay, Rajaniti is nothing but Niti to be followed by a Raja. A Raja who is, or a king, or a chieftain who is governing his people. So, Rajaniti in itself is a Shastra. Okay, so if you Translate into Telugu, political science. People say Raja Neeti Shastramu, but that's not political science. Let me tell you that. That's not political science because we don't have a police. We never had a police, POLIS. That is not the science that we are doing here. Raja Neeti Shastra is nothing but understanding the principles, the ethical, moral principles that go into the process of governance. So, the Raja Neeti Shastra, as such, is that which is there put in place in order that people follow certain principles while they are governing or ruling over their kingdom or whatever. And most of the Niti Shastras are to be found in Smritis, SMRITI, Smriti. Smritis, because I told you there was no writing, people recollected them. Later on, they were written down. So the Niti Shastras, including the Raja Niti Shastra, are a part of different Smritis like the Manusmriti, the Yajnavalkya Shruti, Smriti, not Shruti, sorry, Smriti. So I'll stop here today. Tomorrow we'll finish this off. Okay. Tomorrow we'll just wind up with this particular part. So thank you. And thank you, Gnaneshwari, for coming after a long time, though I can't see you. So bye for now. See you tomorrow. Thank you.